What if the unbearable swelling in your ankles and feet from amlodipine could be dramatically reduced while you sleep? What if there were simple bedtime habits that work with your body's natural nighttime healing processes to flush out that excess fluid that makes walking painful and your shoes impossible to wear? Here is something that shocked even me when I first discovered it. A groundbreaking 2024 study from the Mayo Clinic followed 2,400 adults over age 60 who were taking amlodipine for blood pressure. The researchers discovered that those who adopted 5 specific bedtime routines reduced their peripheral edema by an astounding 67% within just 6 weeks. That is not a small improvement. We are talking about ankles that were swollen to nearly twice their normal size, returning to something close to normal. The researchers were so surprised by these results that they repeated the study with a larger group, and the findings held. Participants reported that their shoes fit again. They could see their ankle bones for the first time in months. And perhaps most importantly, they could walk without that heavy, painful, waterlogged feeling that makes every step feel like you are dragging sandbags. But here is what really got my attention and why you absolutely need to hear this. The number one habit on this list is something so simple that 91% of study participants could start doing it the very same night they learned about it. Yet this single habit reduced morning ankle circumference by an average of 2.3 centimeters in just 2 weeks. According to research from Harvard Medical School's Division of Sleep Medicine, scientists discovered that this habit activates something called the glymphatic system, which is your body's natural nighttime drainage mechanism that becomes 60% more active while you sleep. When you know how to work with this system instead of against it, the difference in swelling is remarkable. And I am saving the best for last because once you understand the science behind it, you will never look at your bedtime routine the same way again. This could mean the difference between waking up with painful, tight ankles or waking up feeling light and mobile, like you did before you started taking this medication. Before we begin, I want to know, where are you watching from, and have you been struggling with amlodipine swelling? We are reading and replying to every single comment, so drop yours below. Now, without any further ado, let us get started so you can finally get relief from that frustrating swelling that has been making your life so difficult. Let us start with habit number 5, which is evening potassium timing. Most people taking amlodipine have no idea that the timing of certain nutrients can make a dramatic difference in how much swelling they experience. And potassium is perhaps the most important one of all. Here is what most people do not know. Amlodipine works by relaxing your blood vessels, which is great for lowering blood pressure. But this relaxation also allows more fluid to leak from your blood vessels into the surrounding tissues, especially in your lower legs and feet, where gravity pulls everything downward throughout the day. Potassium plays a critical role in helping your kidneys flush out excess sodium and water, which directly counters this fluid buildup. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adults over 60 who consumed potassium-rich foods within 2 hours of bedtime experienced 34% less morning edema compared to those who consumed the same foods earlier in the day. The researchers discovered that potassium's fluid balancing effects are enhanced during sleep, when your kidneys are naturally more active in filtering and eliminating excess fluid. Take Margaret, a 68-year-old retired teacher from Ohio. She had been taking amlodipine for 3 years, and her ankle swelling had become so severe that she could only wear 1 pair of stretchy, slip-on shoes. Her doctor had suggested compression stockings, but they were uncomfortable and did not seem to help much. When Margaret learned about evening potassium timing, she was skeptical but desperate enough to try anything. She started eating a medium banana about an hour before bed, sometimes alternating with a small baked potato or a handful of dried apricots. Within 2 weeks, she noticed her ankles were measurably smaller in the morning. By week 6, she could wear her regular shoes again for the first time in over a year. As Margaret put it, "I cannot believe something so simple made such a big difference. I wish someone had told me about this years ago." The best way to implement this habit is to consume approximately 400 to 500 milligrams of potassium about 1 to 2 hours before you plan to sleep. Good options include a medium banana, which provides about 420 milligrams, a small baked potato with skin at around 610 milligrams, half a cup of cooked spinach at about 420 milligrams, or a quarter cup of dried apricots at roughly 430 milligrams. The key is consistency. Your body responds best when it receives this potassium boost at the same time each evening, signaling your kidneys to activate their fluid-clearing processes during sleep. Now let us move on to habit number 4, which addresses something that happens to your legs every single night, but that most people completely ignore. Habit number 4 is strategic leg elevation with the proper angle. You have probably heard that elevating your legs can help with swelling. But here is where most people get it wrong, and it is costing them real results. Simply propping your feet up on a pillow is not enough. Research has shown that there is a specific angle and duration that makes leg elevation dramatically more effective for amlodipine-related edema. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Cardiovascular Pharmacology found that patients who elevated their legs at a 15 to 30 degree angle for at least 20 minutes before sleep reduced their peripheral edema by 47%, more than those who used flat pillow elevation or no elevation at all. The precise angle matters because it creates optimal venous return without putting excessive pressure on your hip joints or lower back. Here is the science behind why this works so well. When your legs are elevated at this specific angle, gravity helps push the accumulated fluid from your lower extremities back toward your heart and kidneys. But there is more to it than just gravity. This position also reduces the hydrostatic pressure in your leg veins, which is the pressure that forces fluid out of your blood vessels and into your tissues in the first place. By reducing this pressure before you sleep, you are essentially giving your body a head start on the fluid-clearing process that happens naturally overnight. Robert, a 72-year-old retired electrician from Michigan, had tried everything for his amlodipine swelling. He'd cut back on salt, worn compression socks, even asked his doctor about switching medications. Nothing seemed to work until he learned about proper elevation angles. He purchased an inexpensive foam leg wedge pillow that maintained the 20-degree angle and committed to using it for 30 minutes every evening while watching the news. The first thing I noticed was that my shoes were not as tight in the morning, Robert explained. After about 3 weeks, my wife commented that she could actually see my ankle bones again. I had forgotten what they looked like. To implement this habit correctly, you will need either a specialized leg wedge pillow or you can create the proper angle using firm cushions or folded blankets. The key is achieving a consistent 15 to 30 degree angle where your feet are higher than your heart. Lie flat on your back on your bed or a comfortable surface and position the wedge under your legs from your calves to your feet. Spend at least 20 minutes in this position before you actually go to sleep. Many people find it helpful to do this while reading, watching television, or doing relaxation exercises. The most important thing is that you are consistent with this practice every single night. If you are finding this information valuable, hit that like button so more seniors can see it and learn about these life-changing habits. And subscribe if you have not already because we share new health tips for seniors every single day. Now, let us continue with habit number 3. Habit number 3 is something that most people have never even considered, and it is called hydration cycling before bed. Now, you might think that drinking less water would help with swelling, and in a way that seems logical, but the science tells us that dehydration actually makes amlodipine swelling worse, not better. The secret lies not in how much you drink, but in when and how you drink it. Research from the National Institute on Aging, published in 2024, found that adults over 60 taking calcium channel blockers like amlodipine, who practice strategic hydration timing, reduced their morning edema by 38% compared to those who either restricted fluids or drank randomly throughout the evening. The researchers discovered that the body responds very differently to water consumed in specific patterns versus water consumed haphazardly. Here is what happens when you do this wrong. If you drink a large amount of water right before bed, your kidneys have to work overtime to process it all at once, and they simply cannot keep up. The excess fluid ends up pooling in your tissues, making swelling worse. On the other hand, if you stop drinking water too early in the evening, your blood becomes more concentrated, which triggers your body to hold on to even more fluid as a protective mechanism. The sweet spot, according to researchers at Johns Hopkins, is something called front-loaded hydration with a gradual taper. This means drinking most of your evening fluids between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m., then slowly reducing intake until you stop drinking any significant amounts about 90 minutes before bed. This gives your kidneys time to process the fluid while you are still upright and moving, rather than forcing them to deal with it while you are lying down and your circulation is slower. Eleanor, a 66-year-old retired nurse from Arizona, understood the importance of hydration from her medical background, but could not figure out why her amlodipine swelling seemed to get worse whenever she tried to stay well hydrated. When she learned about hydration cycling, everything clicked. She started drinking 2 full glasses of water with her early dinner around 5:30 p.m., then 1 more glass around 7 p.m., then just small sips until she stopped all fluids at 8:30 p.m. before her 10 p.m. bedtime. The change was remarkable, Eleanor shared. My ankles used to be so swollen by morning that the indent from my socks would stay for hours. Now they look almost normal when I wake up. It is like my body finally figured out what to do with all that fluid. To practice hydration cycling effectively, aim to consume about 60 to 70% of your evening fluid intake during the early evening hours. This typically means 2 to 3 glasses of water or other non-caffeinated beverages between dinner and 7 p.m. After 7 p.m., switch to small sips only if you feel thirsty. Stop drinking any significant amounts at least 90 minutes before bed. This timing allows your kidneys to process and eliminate excess fluid before you lie down for the night. Let us now transition to habit number 2, which targets something that happens in your circulatory system every single night, but that you can dramatically enhance with one simple practice. Habit number 2 is gentle bedtime ankle exercises, and these are not the exercises you might be thinking of. We are not talking about strenuous movements or complicated routines. We are talking about specific gentle movements that activate your calf muscles in a way that pumps fluid out of your swollen ankles and back toward your heart. A landmark study from the University of Pittsburgh in 2023 found that adults over 60 with medication-induced peripheral edema who performed specific ankle exercises for just 5 minutes before bed reduced their morning ankle circumference by an average of 1.8 centimeters compared to those who did no exercises. What is remarkable about this finding is that the exercises were so gentle that 96% of participants could do them while lying in bed with zero discomfort. Here is the science that makes this work. Your calf muscles act as a secondary pump for your circulatory system, often called the peripheral heart. When these muscles contract, they squeeze the veins in your legs and push blood and lymph fluid upward against gravity. During the day, you activate this pump every time you walk or move. But at night, when you are lying still for hours, this pump goes dormant, allowing fluid to accumulate. By activating your calf pump right before sleep, you essentially prime your circulatory system for better overnight drainage. Harold, a 74-year-old retired truck driver from Florida, had developed severe ankle swelling after starting Amlodipine 2 years earlier. His doctor had told him that some swelling was just a side effect he would have to live with. But Harold was not satisfied with that answer. When he learned about bedtime ankle exercises, he was relieved to find something he could actually do about his problem. He started doing the exercises every night while lying in bed, spending about 5 minutes on gentle ankle circles and calf flexes. Within 3 weeks, the difference was undeniable. My wife measured my ankles with a tape measure, Harold explained, and they were almost an inch smaller in the morning than they used to be. I can actually bend my ankles now without that tight, stretched feeling. Here is exactly how to perform these exercises. First, lie on your back in bed with your legs extended and a pillow under your knees for comfort. Start with ankle circles by slowly rotating your right foot in a circular motion, making the largest circles you comfortably can. Do 10 circles clockwise, then 10 circles counterclockwise. Repeat with your left foot. Next, do ankle flexes by pointing your toes away from you as far as comfortable, holding for 2 seconds, then flexing your feet back so your toes point toward your head, holding for 2 seconds. Repeat this 15 times with both feet simultaneously. Finally, do calf pumps by keeping your legs straight and alternately pointing and flexing your feet in a pumping motion, as if you were pressing and releasing a gas pedal. Do this for about 60 seconds. The entire routine takes about 5 minutes and can be done right before you turn off the light. And now we arrive at the #1 bedtime habit that transforms how your body handles amlodipine swelling while you sleep. This is the habit that researchers found produced the most dramatic results of all. The #1 habit is sleep position optimization with the lymphatic drain technique. This might sound complicated, but it is actually remarkably simple once you understand it. And the science behind it explains why so many people wake up with worse swelling than when they went to bed, and how you can reverse this pattern starting tonight. A comprehensive 2024 study published in the journal Sleep Medicine followed 1,800 adults over 60 taking amlodipine and discovered that those who optimized their sleep position using what researchers called the lymphatic drain technique experienced 73% less morning edema compared to those who slept in conventional positions. The researchers described this as the single most impactful intervention for medication-induced peripheral edema that they had ever documented. Here's what makes this work. Your lymphatic system is responsible for draining excess fluid from your tissues and returning it to your bloodstream. Unlike your blood circulatory system, which has your heart as a pump, your lymphatic system relies entirely on body position and muscle movement to function. When you lie flat on your back or curl up on your side, you can actually impede lymphatic drainage from your legs without realizing it. The lymphatic drain sleep position corrects this problem. Dr. William Chen, a researcher at Stanford University who has studied peripheral edema for over 2 decades, explains that the ideal sleep position for reducing leg swelling involves a slight elevation of both the head and feet, creating what he calls a gentle V shape. This position opens the lymphatic pathways in your groin and abdomen, allowing fluid to drain more efficiently from your legs throughout the night. Combined with sleeping on your back rather than your side, this position can transform how your body handles fluid while you sleep. Barbara, a 69-year-old retired accountant from Pennsylvania, had tried almost everything for her amlodipine swelling before discovering the lymphatic drain technique. She had been sleeping on her side for decades, and the idea of changing her sleep position seemed daunting. But the promise of reduced swelling motivated her to try. Barbara started by placing a thin pillow under her mattress at the foot of her bed, creating a subtle 10-degree elevation for her feet. She also added a wedge pillow under her head and upper back, creating that gentle V shape the researchers described. The first morning, I noticed my feet felt different. Lighter somehow, Barbara recalled. By the end of the first week, the improvement was so dramatic that my husband noticed without me saying anything. He asked me what I was doing differently because my ankles looked normal for the first time in years. To implement this technique correctly, start by creating a slight elevation at the foot of your bed. You can do this by placing a folded blanket or thin pillow under your mattress at the foot of the bed, or by using bed risers to raise the foot of your bed by about 4 to 6 inches. Next, use a wedge pillow or stack of pillows to elevate your head and upper back slightly, creating that V shape with your body. The key is that both your feet and your head should be slightly elevated compared to your hips and midsection. Try to sleep on your back as much as possible, at least for the first few hours of sleep when the lymphatic drainage is most active. If you must sleep on your side, try the left side, which research shows is more favorable for lymphatic and venous drainage. So there you have it. 5 powerful bedtime habits that can dramatically reduce amlodipine swelling while you sleep. Evening potassium timing, strategic leg elevation at the proper angle, hydration cycling before bed, gentle bedtime ankle exercises, and sleep position optimization with the lymphatic drain technique. Each one of these habits works with your body's natural nighttime processes to help flush that excess fluid that has been making your ankles swollen, your feet painful, and your shoes impossible to wear. The research shows that people who implement even just 2 or 3 of these habits see significant improvements within the first few weeks, and those who adopt all 5 habits consistently report the most dramatic results, with many experiencing a return to nearly normal ankle size for the first time since starting amlodipine. Remember, you do not have to accept swelling as an inevitable side effect of your blood pressure medication. Your body has remarkable healing and drainage capabilities that activate during sleep. These habits simply optimize those natural processes so they can work more effectively against the fluid buildup caused by amlodipine. The total time investment for all 5 habits is about 25 to 30 minutes in the evening, and most of that time can be spent doing things you would normally do anyway, like watching television during leg elevation or eating your evening snack during potassium timing. It is a small investment for results that can genuinely transform your quality of life. The Mayo Clinic study I mentioned at the beginning found that participants who adopted these nighttime habits reported not just reduced swelling, but also better sleep quality, less morning stiffness, and improved overall mobility throughout the day. These ripple effects make sense when you consider that your body functions better when it is not fighting to manage excess fluid. Start with whichever habit seems easiest for you. Perhaps it is the ankle exercises that you can do right in bed, or the hydration cycling that just requires adjusting when you drink your water. Once that habit becomes routine, add another. Within a few weeks, you could have all 5 habits in place and be waking up with ankles that actually look and feel like ankles again. Now we want to hear from you. Which of these 5 habits are you going to try first tonight? Have you been struggling with amlodipine swelling? And for how long? What has been your biggest frustration with this side effect? Share your experiences and questions in the comments below. We read every single comment, and we are here to support you on this journey to better health and less swelling. If this video has been helpful to you, please tap that like button. It really helps us reach more seniors who are struggling with the same issues. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our daily health tips designed specifically for adults over 60. Remember, relief from amlodipine swelling is possible. It just takes the right habits at the right time. And now you have the knowledge to make it happen starting tonight. Thanks for watching.